456. Page 456. I'm standing on the solid rock. Let's sing the first and last verses. Through my disappointment, strife and discontentment, I cast my every care on the Lord. No matter what obsession, pain or deep depression, I'm standing on the solid rock. I'm standing on the rock of ages, safe from every storm. All of that rages, reaching love unreaching. I will take its wages. I'm standing on the solid rock. Now I'm pressing onward. Each step leads me homeward. I'm trusting in my Savior day by day. And close is our relation, firm is His foundation. So on this solid rock I'll stay. I'm standing on the rock of ages, safe from every storm. All the storm that rages, reaching love unreaching. I will take His wages. I'm standing on the solid rock. You know? Yeah. 221. Page 221. First and last verses as well. I'm in love with my Savior and He's in love with me. He is with me from day to day. What a friend is He. Watches over me while I sleep. Hears me when I pray. I am as happy as I can be, and I now can say, somebody loves me, answers my prayer. I love somebody, I know He cares. Somebody tells me not to repine. That somebody is Jesus, and I know He's mine. And as our work is done, He will call us home to a mansion He has prepared, never more to roam. We'll sit down by the riverside, cares all passed away, and with never a pain to bear, what a happy day. Somebody loves me, answers my prayer. I love somebody, I know He cares. Somebody tells me not to repine. That somebody is Jesus, and I know He's mine. Yeah, lead us in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, just want to thank You for this day. Just thank You for this time we come out and worship You, dear Lord. Just want to thank You for this beautiful day. I pray for all those who's on the prayer list, who's has special interest in our prayers, all the lost, concerning those who've lost loved ones, and all those who are in need, dear Lord. Dear Lord, just pray for this nation, the leaders of this nation, and as this coronavirus is going around, I pray for everybody who's guided or who's just around it, dear Lord. You know it's just discouraging. And dear Lord, just want to thank You again for all You've done. Just because I know I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brother Sedgey. Good morning, people at Antioch. I appreciate you. Whoever else wants to look, it's not just for Antioch. I appreciate y'all tuning in this morning. We have a thought on our mind. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a long one, but sometimes I get caught up in it. It just goes and goes. And again, we followed our preacher here at Grace And he always does a magnificent job, and he brought out some good points this morning. I probably will blend in with the one that we have. I don't know if I'm trying to get to it. I want to bring out one thing, the prayer list. I wish I could remember your names, and I've left that book at home again. The prayer list down at Antioch. Brother Doug and his family, Sister Faye and her family, and then Brother Darren and his family. That is a miracle. I remembered all three of those names. And all the people that are attached to them, Brother Darren's mother, I remember her, that she was sickly. Keep her safe. I wish I could remember the rest of them, but that's about as far as it goes. But keep us in your prayers. I wanted to start out this morning. I have a sister named Billy Sue. We call her Pee Wee because it was just too close to Bill and Billy Sue. And my daddy wasn't much of a thinker when it come for picking out names. He just kind of went with the wash there, you know. That sounded good. He just did it. He was an old hippie, and I'm proud of him. My mama divorced him at a young age, and I never remembered him as a young age. I just can't see. The time I remember with him is whenever he was a little older, and he had an old gospel Gibson guitar. And Sedgwick picking the guitar has a lot of his moves in it, but Daddy was a lot slower than him. And Sedgwick was picked on this morning about playing too fast, but Daddy never got accused of that. But he always played Father Alone. When I hear that song, I could just see him sitting there. And he passed away here a few years ago, and everybody's got parents, grandparents, and loved ones. It doesn't hurt if you know where they're at. I know where my daddy's at. I miss him, and I'm looking forward to seeing him one day. But the ones that have died lost. There was a man that was evil, that was tied up into my life. My mother married the trashy thing, and then we got stuck with it as children. And the boy, me, always got picked on by the men to show his size and strength to the rest of the family's alpha male type stuff. And I never did care for him, and we had a lot of misunderstandings that resulted in me getting whippings and beatings and stuff like that. I just never cared for the man. He was in a wheelchair, and when he finally passed, nobody told us what the big thing. A friend of mine, a Mason buddy of mine that worked at a funeral home, called me, and he says, Bill, we have a family that's got nobody physically able to tote the casket, and some of us here at the funeral home is going to help tote him, and we're one short. If you'll come be a pallbearer. And I said, why, sure, that's just sad. And when I got there, it was him. And I felt the dog pulling both directions. On one hand, I wanted to just turn my back and just drop it. On the other hand, if that guy didn't change his mind, he lifted his eyes in hell. And I fear the most. I will never be bothered with him ever again. Y'all know that. His time came and went. And as I look back, I thought it was a long time while it was happening. It didn't happen, but just a short time, and it was like a vapor, and it was gone. You preached that this morning. That was used that in your sermon. We don't realize how short our life is on this earth. Old Brother Sedgwick's been 16 years old for 500 years now. He just can't get past 16. And he's just chomping at getting his license. He's wanting to do this. And you know how I know? I was 16. I can remember that time in my life. But it ended too. 21 came along. I had to start pulling my own weight, doing my own thing, paying my own bills. And it ain't as easy as it looks when you're 16. I got money, yeah, because your mother made you save it. You got to learn like we did, I reckon. But anyway, I've said too much. I want to study on fear. And we're going to start off in Ecclesiastes 12:13. I'm going to give y'all a second to find that. I cheated. I have a ribbon stuck in mine. It took me 30 minutes last night because Ecclesiastes is a small book. I want chapter 12, verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Now here it is, the guy's talking, he wants to hear, this is the culmination of all what he was talking about, and he's dragging it down. Fear God, keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. That's your whole duty, is to fear God. Without fear of God, there cannot be knowledge of God. You cannot learn of God. You cannot love and grow in God. You cannot be saved, is what they're saying. This is the whole duty. That's what you're to do. And we're humans. We tend to lean towards our own strength. I remember when I had full body strength and was younger, and somebody would bow up at me, and the first thing I'd do is bow back at them. So I pretty much could handle my own. And for the ones that I thought was too big to handle me, I always enticed the idea, well, God is with me. That's using God as a spare tire. Well, I didn't need God on these little ones. I need him on this big one. You need God in every situation you're in. That's what I've come to learn. It's not Bill Bush in the world. It's me and Jesus, or Jesus and me in the world, if you would. I don't even want to feel big enough to put my name first. Name droppers, you know. There's people that know Ray Sims was a big contractor in Hattiesburg. You knew Ray Sims, you knew somebody. Everybody knows Brett Favre, knows of him anyway. Very, you know, and he's powerful in his right. And then you say Jimmy Dukes. Everybody just gets scared. You know, that he was a good, stern, no-nonsense lawyer. There are people in this world, but the only name I want to throw out there is Jesus Christ. And I want to learn what fear. Now, I did some preliminary checks. Fear is spoken of, F-E-A-R, in that one Hebrew and Latin or whatever it was in. It shows up 400 times in our Bible, front to back. Feared shows up 74 times, and it went on to everything that was associated with fear in the Strong's Dictionary. It showed every time it was mentioned in there. Fear has two meanings. I could never separate the difference physically by saying fear being scared of and then fear reverencing. There are just so many words that reverence doesn't cover. I fear the Lord. Matter of fact, there's some written down in my bylines here. Let me see if I can find them. I must not have had them there. But also I want you to, let me just skip that till I can find my notes again. I wrote on one side of one of the pages what I wanted to say. Caution. Do not get caution mixed up with fear. A lot of times I've been thinking, I said, well, you shouldn't be scared of this controvirus. You shouldn't do this. You got to have faith in God. There's a preacher claiming that we ain't going to listen to that. We're going to congregate anyway. We're going to hugs up. And I don't even know the man. He may be a good man. Probably is a good man. And he wanted to say that we're not going to do this. God's told me that. God gave you caution. God cautioned Moses, to not hit that rock. He did it anyway. God has cautioned some intelligent men in this time. Dude, you don't need to do that. And we are human too. I slip and fall. I slip all the time. I'm not nowhere near where I would like to be as being human, serving the Lord. But he gives us cautions. And the government said, don't get together because you'll spread it, make it worse, and more people will die that can't live with it. They give us some from our government down. We need to respect that. And that's just all there are to it. How many of y'all speed? I just pointed to my preacher. I know he speeds. I seen him. I speed too. I know Sidgy speeds. He did 55. He set the cruise on. I'm so proud of him. He didn't even want to try. 50. He set it on 50. And I had a sugar attack Friday, and I could not drive. It was either him or we'd stay in Hattiesburg 2 more hours. And so, I've learned though, that's the reason I take somebody with me. It's not for anybody. But fear. Let's go over to the next one I want to read. It is Proverbs 1 and 7. And I know I'm going to cheat. I've got it picked out too. 1 and 7. And this is where we really start to understanding the fear of God is. And this is where I've got it. Yes. This is where I have my notes. We're going to start reading on number 7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. And I've got a few more that I wanted to skip and read, but I think I'm just going to read all the way through it. My son, hear the instructions of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. For they shall be an ointment of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. It'll keep you healthy and make you rich. Did y'all hear where he said chains and ointment? It's just referring to that. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come, let us lay wait for blood, let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause, let us swallow them up alive in the grave and whole as they that go down into the pit. We shall find all precious substance. We shall fill our houses with gold. Cast in thy lot among us. Let us all have one purse. Dude, we're going to make money. You need to go this way. This is what we're going to do. We're going to call and do the calling thing, and we're going to trick these old people out of $20 a piece. And there's so many million, 30-something million people in America, and out of 30-something million, we're going to get 1%. Somebody did the numbers on that and said that we could probably get $500,000, $2 million out of this calling posse, and they can't even trace it. I used to think that surely nobody falls for that stuff. And then I remember my grandmother sent money to all kinds of different preachers everywhere she could. She couldn't do much in it. She had gotten old, but she still wanted to serve the Lord, and she still wanted her money. She had a little bit of money. I even remember the amount, $424 a month is all my grandmother made. I think in 81, not made, but collected. She didn't collect the money. That's not much money. That's not even a house note. But back then, she owned her house. She had her water well, had her car bill, wasn't that much, and her groceries. She didn't eat much. But she'd take some of that money and she'd make sure she'd give 10%. Well, I don't want to get off into 10%. I think 10% is a good starting spot. I know we're not in the Old Testament of the law. I know we're of grace. I think that 10% of your money is a good starting spot. A lot of people don't want to give their time. I think going to church, it takes out your time. You need to go every time the doors is open. And I hope it doesn't offend anybody by saying, I've heard a lot of people, I don't want to go Sunday night because I'm tired, and they'll understand. We will, but you're not trying to impress us. Will God understand that you took another nickel out of his pocket and put it in your pocket? You're supposed to give of a certain percentage of everything. Your time, your mental capacity, your studying, your song service, practicing the guitar to get better, practicing the piano, learning to read music, controlling your voice. Even the young boys that don't want to sing, get up there and sing a little bit, learn to chip at them a little bit, teach them to worship God. That's all of this is, just giving 10%. Now let me draw my horse back in. Make sure that's all I want to read. For their feet run to evil and make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird. And they lay wait for their own blood and lurk privily for their own lives. Let me just go out. I think I went too far on that one. The fear of the Lord involves awe, reverence, love, and trusting God. It accompanies knowledge, humility, obedience, and blessings. That's what fear of God. I mean, that's the fear, not scary fear, and not to be considered with caution, because God cautions us all the time of stuff we shouldn't do. We just got caution not to hang with anybody who wants to do bad things. If you surround yourself with... There was a time, let me go ahead and tell you this. I was just ran through a whole scenario in my head. There was a time that I thought that I could influence bad people to being good, and I would hang around them and try to do it, and it went the other way on me. And it took me years to get out of that. I thought the cool kids, and you could be a cool kid because I was an officer in the Navy, and I could, when I got out, I was at college, and the nerds were just taking over the campus. It wasn't the cool kids anymore. I tried to hang with certain ones of them and thought that I could lead them to the Lord. Well, I got punched out pretty quick, and if there's more of them than there are you, if somebody wants to know about the Lord, they will come to you. Pushing doesn't work. The Lord God does not push himself on anybody. And I like that part where it says Jesus was walking on the water and they were in the ship, and he said, and Jesus would have passed them by. He would have just walked right by them. If they had to call out to him, he would have walked. He was having a good time. He was like old Brother Robert this morning. He was walking through the pine trees, and I know what he's talking about. I walked by and seen a spider web, and I seen a world inside of a world, and then the little fly inside that last world, because he didn't make it. There's worlds inside of worlds. He was walking in the wonder and splendor of the ocean. He's seen the little flying fish. And I've seen them when the waters got rough off the Lexington's deck, and they'd go from one wave to the next, and they would just do it in teams. You know, little schools of fish, but they were coming out of the water and flying 25 and 30 feet, hitting the next wave. And it's just awesome. The color of their fins is just a rainbow color. And a little bit of the moonlight would hit it. It's just beautiful. I can just imagine what God did in the Garden of Eden. I've thought about it many times, Brother Robert. I really want to walk through the Garden of Eden one day. I know He moved it to heaven or took it away from us. I can't imagine Adam doing what he did, but every one of us would have done the same thing. We'd have slipped and failed. But that garden was some kind of beautiful. And the Lord, He said, I would have passed them by. You've got to call out to God. When you realize that there is a holy, reverenced something, you come to the age of accountability, and you get what they call, and I'm trying to break it down and use words that people understand, you realize that if you don't do something different, you're lost and going to hell. And if you blow it off and say, no, God's not an evil man. He's a God of love, and He's not going to do that to me. As long as I live good, I'm going to be okay. And you take down that one little path. You start going that way because it's a wide, easy path. There's a crevice over here that your shoulder barely will fit through to walk to get to God. The straight and narrow way, the way that's called straight. Lady, there's an address she found in the Bible, the way that's called straight actually is a street over in Jerusalem. And she said, there's an address in the Bible. I said, there's a bunch of them. He had my address all the time. But it had a physical address. And we look there and we decide, you know what? I'm a good guy. I'll be all right. And then you can't hear the Lord's voice anymore. The farther you get away from God, God doesn't move. We've got in this world, we started slipping that away, the fear. Now, the reason I went into fear, now let's go on the flip side. Fear not Abraham. He was telling him, fear not. He didn't tell Abraham to fear. And the word not that comes behind it is a connotation of the word fear, means don't fear, or do not fear, or don't have a problem with this. I got you a goat right over him, or a ram, whichever it was. It says it's a ram, I think. And he told Abraham not to fear. Why would he tell him not to fear? Because as a human, he was slipping. He didn't want to kill his child, but he also wanted to do what he was supposed to do. And he was doing it, but he had fear in his heart. He was going to do it. Fear not. Why do we not supposed to have fear? Let's go to Romans 3:18 and see if I can wrap this up. I'll put a card in there. 3:18. Let's go back to 15. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery are in their ways, and the way of peace have they not known. There is no fear of God before their eyes. There is no fear of God before their eyes. They have no respect for God. No remorse, no respect. Now we know that what things soever the law saith, it saith to them who are under the law. But every mouth may be stopped, and all the world may become guilty before God. Therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be judged in His sight. For by the law is the knowledge of sin. You can keep the law and still go to hell. It's not the law that saves your soul. It's the grace of God. We passed from that era when Jesus come and hung on the cross. And even then, it wasn't the law, it was the looking forward to Jesus coming. It's not nothing you can do in the flesh. I've had a lot of people tell me, if you don't get baptized, you don't do this. If it's physically taught, things you could do. Well, you've got to speak in tongues, and you've got to do this. Let me tell you what you've got to do. You must believe that Jesus Christ is the only begotten Son of God. If you still have fear that you're going to die and go to hell, and you think you've been saved, check it up. Start reading. Ask someone else than the last one you asked. God will put you a preacher or a lay person, somebody that can tell you how to meet the Lord. If you don't know that you know that you know that you're saved, you may have missed it. I'm not saying you are or ain't. I'm just saying if I had any reservations whatsoever, I'd make sure of it. I don't want to go to hell. Nobody does. And to the point that they're going to make up all kinds. Well, I built this Crystal Cathedral down here, and I supported this Christian college over here, and I have built 2 or 3 churches with the money in my pocket, and I've given 21 cars to different preachers. I have done this. You will go to hell if that's what you're betting on. The money of this world is awesome. The churches need your money. The missionaries on the field need money to be able to live while they tell the word. Nobody wants to work a missionary and do halfway work and make him 10. Old Peter was trying to make sure that he didn't burden the church to the point where they'd see that he needed their money. He wanted them to see that they needed God more than he needed their money. And his faith in that one point is a whole different situation. But the missionaries need money. Send it or don't. God has a cattle of 1,000 hills. He'll take care of them if they don't lose faith. Now, if you want to get a gold crown for supporting somebody, give. God will take care of you. It's not about the money. But that won't save you to get you to heaven. But if you are saved and you do give it, it'll get you a crown. God will thank you for it. And I can't imagine, Brother Robert again, I cannot imagine God even talking to us. The haughtiness of us to think that God lowered himself down. Anybody that think that, well, God took my mama, and I met a man like this. I don't want to call any names, and he was very rough with God. He hated religion. My mother was humble and submissive and gave money, and then she died a horrible death with cancer. She was very in pain and this and that. And I refused to go to church. And I spoke with him for years, trying to lead him. And he told me I've got him as close as he's ever gotten. And I appreciated that. But I was like Paul had. I would that you were all like me, and not except for the bonds that he was in at the time. But I just couldn't understand the young man. And then I slipped and fell, and he was watching me. And he has never looked back. He caught me in a weak time in my life. And this has been 20 years ago now. This is not nothing that happened just yesterday. I've met him 1 or 2 times, and he'd give me a gentle nod, and that was it. I've missed my time. I've made mistakes in my life. Don't make them in yours. There is a God for all else. You're not taking this money with you. That pretty red truck is not going to go with you. It may drive you to the gravesite and you slide the casket out the back, but that's as good as it gets. They said they sent a U-Haul trailer behind a Cadillac. What do they call them? A hearse. Yeah, but it ain't going any further than the grave. When you died in the hospital or in your bed, or that recliner when Miss Virginia passed away and the Lord took her home, that's as far as it gets. It becomes a spiritual thing. She went this way and they took her body and put it in a casket. Just like they'll do to you, or they'll do ashes or whatever. But you're not going. You're not taking this flesh to heaven. It can't be done. That's the reason we've got to get a new body. The ones that are alive will be changed. First of all, the dead in Christ will rise, and then we'll all be changed. In a twinkling of an eye, new bodies. And I thought about that. Adam had one of those bodies. Probably the reason he lived to be 900-something years old. But whenever he sinned, it changed the body that we have. But he had perfect DNA at that time. The reason the first men lived long lives. That and the filtering of the sunlight, the different, you can study the different ways on that. 2 Corinthians 7:1, and let me just do that one too. 2 Corinthians 7:1. I apologize for not having them all marked. I ran out of markers. There it is, 7:1. Now concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. That is not the right one. 2 Corinthians. I got to go to 2 Corinthians. I should have marked this one. And our hope of you is steadfast, knowing that as ye are partakers of the sufferings, so shall you be also of the consolations. You're going to be, leads to holiness. You're going to have, let me finish Asa. For we would not, brethren, have you ignorant of the trouble which came in us in Asa, that we were pressed, just having a hard time seeing these this morning, pressed out of measure, above strength, insomuch that we despaired even of life. Now that's still not the one I wanted. I've done read the wrong one again. But anyhow, I'm just going to go with this one. But fear leads to holiness. Fearing God, not fearing Satan. Those two word fears, and I understand how they work. They humbleness and contrite spirit. Contrite is a really strong word, humble and contrite. That works with it also. If you have fear in your body, now let's change gears and go over the last part. If you have fear in your heart and you're scared of different things like the coronavirus, I didn't say caution, I said fear. If you fear the coronavirus, I'd check up on my salvation. You can't threaten me with heaven. If you're truly saved and you know the Lord Jesus Christ, praise the Lord. You can have my pogo stick there, Setchy. I'm done with it. You can have my old truck. I promise you, I'm done. My daughters will probably go through stuff and just throw it away. Go by the house and it'll be nothing but they said, I have a lot of toys. I'm not staying here to whittle and carve. I promise you. The words fear, if you've got fear, that means you don't trust God. The reason fear is a bad thing and a good thing, because there's two different things. If you fear because of you just don't trust God good enough, then you've not put your whole faith in God. Faith disperses all fear. Does that make as much sense as I could possibly make out of it? I'm going to try to come to a close now. If you've got fear of this world, I know that a lot of people that listens to the news and done what they were supposed to and went home, that's not fear, that's caution. Brother Robert stays at least 6 foot away. He hadn't touched me since this stuff started. Even before they done it, he said they told him 6 foot at coke planting. The first day I was like trying to shake his hand, and it was like chasing a cat. He didn't want me to touch. My wife don't want me to touch her still. Get out of me, boy. He's just fear of human flesh and what they can do to me. I have gotten out downtown New Orleans. I've never feared a nut with a gun. I really haven't. I've respected them. He had a gun in his hand, and as I come to a stop at a red light in downtown New Orleans, he walked up to the truck. I could plainly see the end of the barrel. Just opened the door into him and just tried to break his arm off. If he shot me, praise God, I'm going to heaven. If not, he's going to end up doing the one hurt. I will run over you. It's just human life. It's get or get. And I have finally, since then, I have believed that God would have touched that man with palsy or something. He would have dropped right there in a puddle. Had God not wanted that to happen, I didn't even have to open that door. Put a big dent in my door too, by the way. Don't fear God. And don't take over and have that as being arrogance, that you're the toughest, that you can handle it. Don't fear at all. Don't fear Satan. Trust God. Faith does away with all fear. If y'all can get that one simple part along and not fear, God will be with you. It's that simple to bring salvation into your life. I don't care if you're an old, young, ugly, huge. It doesn't matter what body you was given in this world. God still thinks you're awesome. He made you. I've seen, my grandfather had a saying that said, there's no such thing as ugly women. Some prettier than others. But they're all pretty to somebody. If you don't think they're pretty, they definitely ain't for you. If you're looking for beauty, you're looking for flesh anyway. You should pick your wife from the qualities of life. She'd make a good mother. She's a hard worker. She's smart as a whip. If she's smart, she probably ain't looking at you. That's just the way it is. You've got to not get caught up in this world. My preacher drives a red Ford truck. I feel sorry for him because he should have been driving a GMC. Amen. I appreciate you for what you've done, Brother Robert. Would you lead us in prayer?
Holy and righteous Heavenly Father, we come before you today, Lord. We're thankful for all you've blessed us with, for the love you've showed us, Lord. Lord, we pray that each one of us would have a healthy fear, Lord, that we would fear you and keep your commandments and realize that's our whole duty, Lord, that we wouldn't be afraid of the things of this earth, Lord, that we wouldn't fear the wrong things, but that we'd put our fear in the right place, Lord. Lord, we thank you for Brother Bill. We thank you for this message, Lord. We pray that you bless him and his ministry. Pray that you be with the church at Antioch, Lord. That you'd help them, that they grow closer to you, Lord, that they grow in number, Lord, and that they grow closer together. Lord, we love you and we praise you. We thank you for saving us through Jesus. It's in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.